Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Morelli, and I thank all three of you for being here. It was very helpful listening to you. Mr. Morelli, you painted a bleak and I think compelling picture of why ISIS poses a real threat, strategic threat, and a lethal threat to the United States. And if I heard you correctly, you mentioned three things. One, they are capable of directing indirect and direct attacks against us and our interests, and if we stop them, they'll succeed. Three, they're really a state in every sense that matters. And I would add on that I think it might serve us better if we recognize that. We call them a quasi-state, but they really are a repressive or an illegitimate state, but they are a state, and they act as one. And then thirdly, you said they have a growing network that will spread their influence. It seems at the bottom of all of that is their control of land and people and resources. And so I wanted to ask you if you believe that we are doing everything necessary to get them out of that territory. And if not, briefly, what would you suggest that we add to what we're doing?
So I agree with both of my colleagues here that we need to do more. I also believe very much what Robert said, that we really can't have military success. I mean, there's a lot we need to do on the military side, but we really can't have military success without political solutions in both places. That has to come first. We have air power alone is not going to win it. We need to do more air power. Mike can talk about that. There's more we can do with air power, but air power is not going to win this thing alone. We need a ground force. There is a strategy in Iraq to get that ground force. Ramadi showed that strategy has potential. There is no ground force on the Syrian side that carries the same kind of potential as the Iraqi military carries. We can do more, I think, with the moderate opposition, but at the end of the day, I think Assad's got to go, and we have to take Syrian military security resources, as degraded as they've become, and turn them into a force that the international community supports in taking on ISIS. So I think we need to be more aggressive on the military side to put pressure on both ISIS and Assad in the short term, while we get very, very aggressive on the political side on the diplomatic side to force political solutions in both places.
Let me segue on that comment, because Dr. Vickers also made it clear that he sees a Syria-first strategy in which Assad's departure is at the center of it. And now you've said the same. What do you see, and maybe I'll start with you, Ambassador, because you've spent a good deal of time there. What follows Assad? And while I agree with you, he's a bad actor that ideally would not be there, sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. And what potentially follows Assad in that region, in that state?
Very briefly, we don't know exactly who would follow Bashar al-Assad. It has to be a negotiation. I think had we asked the question who would follow Saddam Hussein, we wouldn't have known the answer to that in 2003, obviously. So it will also be the subject of a negotiation among Syrians. And I suspect, frankly, it will be a very wobbly initial national government if the Syrians can ever have a serious negotiation. And that's a big if, Congressman. Therefore, a wobbly government like that, just as the wobbly government in Iraq in 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, needed help, that will be the case also in Syria. I do not believe that if Assad goes, only the Islamic State takes over. I think that is wrong on multiple levels. Is indicative of a sense that there is no hope, whereas actually there's quite a bit of hope. As big as the Islamic State is in Syria, it is actually not the biggest force fighting Assad right now. The other elements of the opposition are actually much bigger